What is going on, everybody? Today we're looking at another wave of the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Acolyte figures. So today we've got Vernestra Rwoh. Looks pretty cool. Getting another alien species Jedi. Looks pretty cool with her purple lightsaber there. Then we've got Bazil, the tracker for the Jedi Order, as it's labeled. So nice to get that little like otter-like guy. He was fun to see in the show. And then finally we have Kelnacca. So we get a Wookiee Jedi, which looks cool. He comes with his green lightsaber and awesome blade. And of course we'll have his hair that's got like the top knot design and stuff. So it looks really cool. So I'm excited to check out these three figures today. So let me get them open out of the box and we'll take a look at them together. And let's start off with Vernestra Rwoh, who is a female Mirielon, which was a Jedi Master during the High Republic time, and she was the former Master of the Stranger who left the Jedi Order to become a Sith. So of course we see that all through the show. So we get her. It's nice to have another alien type species. Of course she's a Mirielon, so we've seen her with like Luminara and Barasafi and stuff. So they have the green skin with some designs around them usually. So she has like this tattoo design on her head, and it's always sort of like these diamond-y type designs. You can sort of see that there on her head. So again, it's nice to have an alien species, but it is, very humanish still at that. So it just looks like the lady that plays her, just with a bald head this time. But she does look good. I do like it overall. Of course, we have her in the Jedi robes, again, the more High Republic design. So a lot of golds and everything going on. So mostly all white with her dress design. Of course, she does have this outer robe on. I love how it's like sort of sleeveless there. So her normal sleeves come out through it, but it's this like tan collar robe, which I'll go and take off. I always hate the robes, especially this, it's so big and baggy. Of course, with it, you can put the hood up, but of course it's always too much material, so it doesn't look very good. But you can probably try and get it worked in position there on her head. But we'll go and just take it off, just so we can do the movements and everything a lot easier. But we see her white dress in, and like I said, a lot of gold design there, especially around her neck. We get the belt around the waist, has some little design like a buckle there in the center. Of course, get her green hands to match with her face, and love how her dress sort of has these longer sleeves before she gets these tighter sleeves there around her arm. Then it has the long dress design, which of course it's all plastic, so it gets in the way of movement, but we don't really need to have it too much. But underneath we can see she just has white legs, all wrapped up legs. I think those are from like a Saj Ventress or something that had legs very similar to that. The all wrapped up legs there in white as well to match. So looks pretty nice overall. Of course, that dress makes it hard to really get her feet to space out, and could have some issues getting her to stand, but you just got to get her in the right position. But for her movements, her head can twist all the way around. She can look down that far and up that far. So unfortunately, not a whole lot of range in the neck. Wish that could be better. Get the shoulders that will come up to 90 there. And it has the butterfly joint back and forth. And will rotate all the way around. We get this single elbow joint there that bends over 90. So pretty nice with rotation in it. And then we get the wrist that'll twist around. And this has the hinge joint, so up and down for this hand there. Then we go to the ab crunch. So we get the ab crunch back and forth and twist all the way around. And then we go down to her legs. So of course we'll have to get the dress up out of the way so her hips can come up to 90 there and out to the side. Thigh twist all the way around. The single knee joint that bends up that far to the back, so about to 90 with the rotation. And the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. Of course the dress keeps falling down, getting back in the way. So overall pretty decent, standard for Star Wars with the single knees and elbows, so nothing really surprising there. And of course the dress is in the way, so like I said, could cause some issues with that, but just got to get her feet placed wide enough and you won't have any issues or anything. So looks pretty decent overall for her. Now accessory wise, the only thing that she comes with is her purple lightsaber. Now of course we see in the show it's a modified purple lightsaber and turns into a light whip, but unfortunately we just get it in the normal standard lightsaber mode here. So unfortunately it's not in the whip form, but we can put this into our hand. So there's Vernestra with her lightsaber, so it looks pretty cool. Like I said, it would have just been really cool if they were able to mold it into the whip form, because that would be pretty awesome. I think for her overall, I do like the look a little bit more with the robe on, just because it adds more of that color to it and stuff, instead of just being this all white color. So I think it looks a little bit better, where most characters, I hate the robes and always take them off. So this may be one I have to keep the robe on, just because I think it looks so much nicer without at least the color contrast and everything. I hate it though, because the hood, with the extra material, just gonna hang in there and the back and doesn't sit nice or anything. So I'll just have to decide what I want to do with that for sure. But overall, still nice to add Vernestra to the collection. And then we move over to Bazil, who is a male Tynan that worked as the tracker for the Jedi Order during the time of the High Republic. And he's used to track down the Wookiee Jedi Master Kelnacca in the jungle planet of Kofar. So really cool to have Bazil. Now he does have like a power, I guess you'd say, of a hypersensitive nose. So that's what they use him for. So he's able to get a smell and track it down. But it looks pretty cool. It's fun character design. It reminds me of like an otter or something, especially with the face design there with the little nose. Of course, his eyes and mouth there probably has some like sort of buck teeth design but you can't really see. Love the color combinations of like the gray up top and more whitish color down below. Looks pretty nice. And then we get his outfit. So nice little design for the guy here. So he has this helmet on, which does have this like visor piece, so it can like block out his eyes, you know, to like reduce some senses and stuff, so he can just focus on smell more. So it's nice. It comes with that little visor piece that comes down. So nice helmet with the blue and gray colors and all that. Looks pretty good there sitting on his head. Then he's got a white shirt on, which looks pretty nice. Little design here on the front, and of course straps going around for that as well, with a belt around his waist, a nice gold buckle and all pockets and all that going around there. With his little hands, which is pretty nice. I noticed that he has gloves on his hands, but the gloves have some fur, so it almost makes him look like, you know, a creature sort of design, where his hands look more humanish, but it's hard to really tell. I guess they could be some sort of animal like hands in there, but just love the gloves that he wears. Has the animal fur, so that kind of sticks through with like a metal band on that arm and stuff, so that's nice. Then he's got some like brownish colored pants on with some knee pads, and then he's got some boots. I love the fur all over the boots as well, going to the gray like shoe parts here, and almost have little cutout like toe designs on them as well. So pretty fun. That's incorporating that it is a creature, so an alien species, but then he has like humanoid hands and maybe feet, but he's got designs to make him look more animalish with those. But moonwise, his head will twist all the way around. It can look down that far and up that far, so again, not a whole lot of range. We get the shoulders that do come up to 90 and will rotate around within there. We get the single elbow joint that bends to 90 with rotation, and then the wrist will twist all the way around and flex back and forth there. Then we go to his ab crunch, so just at the waist, he'll crunch back and forth a little and twist around. And then we go down to the hips that'll come up. Of course, he does have like the skirting piece, so it doesn't really out too far, so up that far and out to the side, pretty much none at all. A little bit of a thigh twist up in there, and then the single knee joint that'll bend that far back with some rotation in it. And then we go down to the foot that will rock back and forth, which unfortunately on him is real stiff, so it's hard to get it to move, and will twist side to side. So not the best movements overall, which he has the small body, so it's not unexpected that he doesn't have much range, but obviously could be better, but for the small body it's really hard to. And then accessory wise, the only thing he comes with is Pip, so we saw this back with OSHA and stuff, so we get another version of Pip here as well that he can hold on to, since he does find and sort of use it in the show, so we can try and put this into his hand. It doesn't really look like he has really good grip hands though. The molds of his hands are too wide, so he may not be able to hold on to it. I guess that's about the best he can, so he can hold. You just got to get in the hand positioned right, but very nice to be able to add Bazil to the collection as well, another alien species. And going from our smallest to our tallest figure today, we have Kelnacca, which is a male Wookiee Jedi Master during the High Republic. He is one of 4 Jedi on Brindok that were investigating a vergence in the Force and discovered a coven of witches. During a confrontation with the coven, he became possessed by the witches and attacked his fellow Jedi, but following the death of the witches, he went into isolation on planet Kofar until he was killed by the Stranger. So nice to get Kelnacca added to the collection. Ever since seeing him in the show, you know, I wanted a figure of him so bad, just to get the Jedi Wookiee. Looks pretty cool overall here. So he just has the Wookiee design, so he's obviously really tall, so very similar like Chewbacca and everything else, but then has the Jedi robes on, so the robes that we saw, especially with the other characters in the show. So again, the High Republic, where they're wearing the gold, more colored, or yellow color, I guess you could call it, sort of robes. Have, of course, the brown robes over that, which we'll definitely have to take off for his movements and all that. And then underneath it, we see he has more of like a creamish color, light yellow sort of robe design, belt all around the waist there with the Jedi logo right in the center. Looks pretty nice. Of course, a little spot here to store the hilt of his lightsaber. And I thought, yeah, pocket there on the back and everything. Of course, we get his Wookiee legs going down, so all hairy legs to the feet there. And of course, we should have his arms. That'll be all hairy. That we'll see much better when we take the robe off, but his hands there as well. And then, of course, we get the face, which, of course, looking at this, it looks like it is somebody wearing a costume because the eyes are so, like, sunken in. I assume it's just because, you know, all the fur around it, but just the eyes are so deep set in, so it does look like somebody wearing a mask. We get the Wookiee nose, the mouth with the little sharp teeth there on the canines, of course his hair up, and like a ponytail with, I assume it's like shaved sides or something, but we get like a little almost like tattoo design on the sides there as well. Looks pretty neat overall. Love his hair and the braids and like hair in the front there and stuff, all the little like bead pieces and everything thrown in. So overall looks really nice for this Kelnacca. Really happy with. Of course, obviously the colors and everything could be different as with all the Wookiees we get in Black Series, but I'm pretty happy with the way he looks. So let's go and take his robe off so we can then do the movements for him. Now, of course, taking the robe off is easy, but trying to get it back on, because I did it when I opened the figure, trying to get back on is difficult because it constantly catches on all the hair pieces, so not easy to get back on, so I'll definitely probably just be leaving that off for now. But for movements, we get his head that does twist very little. Of course, with the hair in the front and the back, you're not going to get really any movements there, so just a little side to side, and you can look down a little and up a little, so just a little back and forth as well. So yeah, unfortunately, with all the hair and stuff, you're not going to get much movement. But we get the shoulders that come up to 90, has the butterfly back and forth and rotates around. Then we get the single elbow joint that bends to 90, actually over 90 with rotation, and the wrist will twist all the way around, of course, deep inside the hair there. And I believe it's on like the ball joint sort of design, so it kind of can move back and forth and up and down, so like those new joints they're using. Then we get the ab crunch at the waist, which unfortunately doesn't really crunch too much, so just a little back and forth, and should be able to twist around, but it doesn't really feel like he's twisting too much. Then we go down to the hips that can come up. You kind of force it there pretty much to 90 and out to the side. We get a little bit of a thigh twist up in there, and the single knee joint that will bend back to 90 there with rotation in it, and then all the way down to the foot, rock back and forth and twist a little side to side. And again, because of all the fur and everything around the feet, it limits how much movement you can actually get with the figure. So overall, not bad. Unfortunately, doesn't have, the best movements or anything, and could be better, but not bad for what he's got at all. And overall, I do really enjoy the look of him. Now, accessory-wise, of course, he comes with his green lightsaber with a really nice hilt on a nice big thick hilt, and the gold with some brown thrown in. So it feels pretty good for a Wookiee. Maybe be more woodish would be what I would think for them, but really nice lightsaber blade as well, really long blade. So we can put this into his hand. So there he has the lightsaber, and I try to pose him up a little, of course, so you can't really get a whole lot of movement, so he doesn't really do too well, but you can get him to double hand the lightsaber pretty easily, especially with those ball joint hands. They fit in pretty well. So overall, looks really nice for Kelnacca there. Now, the just so his height comparison, which I do have his legs bent just a little bit, but here is Chewbacca, so you can see. So they're probably about the same height, like maybe if I straighten up, they'd probably be much closer in the height of Chewbacca. Still looks like he's a little bit bigger overall for at least this version of Chewbacca that we have. And now that we have Kelnacca, we can add him in with the rest of our Jedi from Brindok. So there's Kelnacca with Indara and Sol, so pretty nice to add him with the rest of our Acolyte figures, and overall really nice to have a Jedi Wookiee added to the collection. Well, that's going to be it for our 3 Star Wars The Acolyte figures, where we got Vernestra, Bazil, and Kelnacca. 3 nice additions. Nice that they're all alien-like species, so no normal-looking humans here today. And overall, pretty nice. Like I said in the first review, I overall did enjoy the Acolyte show, so I like getting the figures and stuff from, especially like this alien species to add to the collection. It varies up from just everyone looking like normal humans. So nice to add these 3 along with all our other Acolyte figures. So let me know what you thought of these 3 down in the comments. And if you enjoyed my review, let me know with that like, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to see more. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all stay awesome out there, and I'll see you in our next review.